Check it out, Blue Ridge family. New piece of gear. We got the Nemo Hornet OSMO two-person tent. That's why you're here. This is going to be my first impressions. Stick around. So as my family and I continue our backpacking journey, we've learned a lot in the last couple of months. We've had a handful of backpacking trips. I think I've done this enough now to have an opinion on what I like and don't like about ultralight gear. Before, I kind of stayed away from any kind of gear reviews, first impressions, because I wasn't real sure what I did and didn't like. So now we're going to take a look at the Nemo Hornet OSMO, as we said previously, and just out of the box, one of the first things that I noticed was just the size of the tent overall. Much smaller than the other two tents that we have, which are the Big Agnes Copper Spur UL3 and the REI Half Dome SL3 Plus. Now, both of those tents obviously are much bigger than this tent right here. This tent is a two-person, but I think we'll look a little bit when we get it set up. It's more of a one-person plus. I think you can fit two people in it. But the Big Agnes and the REI Half Dome are good tents. I'm very pleased with both of those, but they are obviously bigger because they're for three people and they're a little bit heavier. They take up a lot more room in the backpack. The sheer size of this, by way of being able to just collapse the poles a little bit more, so basically there's more, the pole structure is such that there's more pieces of it, I guess. So it's a little bit bigger around, but it's shorter, so that's why they can fit it all into here. Also, the material they use is the OSMO material, and if you read on the website, you will read that it's a nylon and polyester material. It stays drier. It does not soak up as much water when it does rain, so it's going to stay drier longer, shed water better. It's lighter. It's also made with all recycled material, which is always a good thing, plus the chemical process they use to do some of the stuff to it, which, to be honest, I'm not quite sure how they make this stuff, but it's more environmentally friendly, which is always a good thing. So let's go ahead and get this laid out. We'll look through it, give the first impressions, what I think about it as a fairly inexperienced hiker, but somebody that's done it enough to kind of have an opinion, and we'll see where this goes. Hold on, let me interject real quick. You really need to watch the end of the video. I've got some good final thoughts on this tent, so you can get back to the review now. What's included when you buy the tent? Well, the first thing that's not included is the ground cloth. It's about 70 bucks, and it's a little bit on the heavy side. And as stated earlier, if you weigh everything that you see here, you're gonna be at just over 3 pounds. If you take the ground cloth away, this whole setup is exactly what Nemo says it is in the pack at 2 pounds 8 ounces. I think if you take the pack away, and I'm not sure what else, probably it's just minimum trail weight is 2 pounds 1 ounce. So I'll try to weigh that when I get home. We'll see if we can get down to that. Anyways, so you're going to get your pack over here that it comes in. You're going to get 8 tent stakes. You're going to get the tent stake bag. Also, we've got obviously the rain fly. We got 4 guy wires if we need those, which I don't think we will. We've got a tent pole splint, as comes standard in most tents. We've got the smaller compact bundle of tent poles, which I really like, and I wish more companies would do that. Obviously the tent. So this is the first time that I've ever set this thing up outside. I did set it up in my house last night for a minute, but that's totally different. So let's get this thing started and see how easy it really is to get set up. Hey, won't you hurry up? What? I'm down here trying to get all this food cooked. Nobody cares about the tent. I know. Hurry up. Get through the review. That's why we come. I don't care. Get through it. I got to show these people something. They want to see the food. That's why they're here. They want to see this awesome one-pot meal that I'm going to cook. You know that's what I do when I come out here. Okay. Hurry up. Let's go. Okay. All right. We got the setup complete. So you saw how easy it was in between each and every one of those steps to get everything set up, as these tents aren't overly difficult to set up, but if you need it, they do have directions in the pack for you. One of the things I noticed right off the bat was the attention to detail that Nemo's put into this tent. So there are multiple tie-off points on each corner of the tent. So in other words, you're not gonna have to carry an excessive amount of tent stakes. Now that may be the norm. Again, consider that I'm fairly novice when it comes to this ultralight backpacking thing, and my Big Agnes, I really enjoy and like the way that it sets up. The REI, not that it's a bad tent, but it is a little bit cumbersome to set up, and there's additional tent stakes, I think 12 or 14. I've got this whole thing set up with 7 stakes and 1 stake to spare. That additional stake will go out on the back side of this, and that will be to guy it out. And the rest of those guy points, the 4 guy lines that they included with it, can all be tied to the existing 4 corners. So really pleased with the way that the tent's set up in that respect. So when it comes time to connect the rain fly to the tent, the head end or the wider end of this, because it is tapered, just a simple hook, straight down on there, you're ready to go. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I like it. All right, we got the outside set up, so let's take a look inside. Now on Nemo's website, they state that there's 50 inches of headroom in this thing, and down at the foot box, there's 42 inches or 43. I'll make sure that I put it up on the screen here so I get that accurate. So I've got a Nemo Tensor long, wide sleeping pad. So let's see how it looks in here. So you can clearly see that I've got probably, I would say, about 4 or 5 inches of room at the head. And I don't know if you can tell down there, but there's another 4 or 5 inches there, so maybe not quite that much. But overall, I really feel like that this pad fits in here. Now, most of you know that 2-person tents in the ultralight backpacking world don't really mean 2-person tents. So would this fit 2 20-inch sleeping pads? I'm pretty sure it would, just looking. I haven't measured. I know Nemo probably wouldn't state a measurement that's not true, so it would be tight in there. So let's go in here and set up, just pretend like we're gonna sleep, just see what it looks like inside. All right, I'm pleased to announce, and this is a good thing because I didn't try this prior to coming out here to overnight, so this is the only tent I got, so it has to work. But I do fit. I'm a big guy. I'm about 6'4", 220, 225 pounds, and although it was a little bit sketchy getting in and out, that doesn't bother me getting in and out of tents. I don't care if I have to crawl. It is what it is. I'm out here enjoying the outdoors, so I'm not looking for this to be a luxury tent. But this is a tight fit, I'll be honest with you. You can see the headroom I've got up above me. Not too bad. I've probably got 3 or 4 inches. And you'll notice the headroom that I got when laying down is pretty tight. It's very doable, a couple of inches at most. Down at the footwell, again, couple of inches, but it's a very tight fit for one person of my size. Consider that when you're buying this tent, if you're a big person, you've got somebody else coming with you, it may not be the tent for you. You may want to go up to the 3-person tent. But overall, I'm not disappointed in the room that's in this tent. This is exactly what I expected it to be, and it's what an ultralight 2-person tent is. So again, really like it. So another really neat design that Nemo's included on this tent are these guy outs, so you can actually tie the tent body to the rain fly, increase the overall volume inside a little bit. Additionally, up top, they've got what they call the fly bar that connects to the tent pole and just spreads out the tent up top a little bit, where you can just create a little more, I guess, vertical sidewall rather than everything coming to a peak. So that really helps considering how small the tent is overall. So I think that's doesn't include a lot of weight to do that stuff. So that's a really nice feature that Nemo's included. So when it comes to getting in the vestibule on the tent, you've got 3 Velcro strips, you've got one-hand operation, and it's a really nice tie-back feature that they have. It's one-handed, it's just got like a little hook on it, so it's pretty neat. And the main thing that I really like is the fabric does not get caught in the zipper. I've had that happen to me on my other ultralight tents, and although Big Agnes, REI typically have good quality stuff, it is a little bit frustrating, so no worries with that here. Also, when you go to get in the tent, some people have a little bit of a pet peeve, I guess, of being able to unzip the tent door with one hand. So I'm pleased to say that you can do that with this one. It takes a little bit of work, but it is possible. So in and out of the tent, unzipping stuff, not a problem. All right, everything's set up. We're ready to go. And the question that everybody, I guess, would want to ask me is, does it meet my standards? Does it meet my approval? Well, I can say for $429, I wasn't skeptical, but I was wondering, not having owned a tent like this before, was it really worth $429? I think it is. I think you have to pay for quality gear, and I'm of the mindset of you get what you pay for. So with a lot of the details that I've showed you on this tent, I think that Nemo has done a really good job. As stated before, the packability, the weight, everything about the way the tent is built, the build quality, I guess you could say, meets my expectations. Although $429 is expensive, I think it's worth it. So the next big question is, we're gonna get rain tonight. It's supposed to start raining about 1 o'clock, I believe, in the morning. So I will check back in and hopefully I have a good report, because I'm not much of one to, I don't like getting wet and getting rainy if I'm not expecting it. If I have to get out in it, it's one thing and I know it's there, but in the middle of the night, I don't think anybody likes that. So the wind's starting to pick up just a little bit for the storm, the incoming storm. I'm hungry, as always. You all know I like to cook. So I think I'm gonna get some firewood and get a fire going, cook a bite to eat, hang out by the fire, and just enjoy the evening. All right, got the fire going, time to cook now. I don't like freeze-dried food. I like to cook fresh when I can, so I brought a pound of fresh ground beef, a can of black beans, and probably a half a cup or so of rice. So this recipe is something similar to what you would call dirty rice. That's not really what it is, because it's got more meat in it, but it's a very simple to do, very easy if you want to carry your fresh ingredients in. Now it's going to weigh a little bit more, obviously, and this is probably more than I will eat, but the good news is I'll have something for breakfast if I so choose to eat that. And also the good thing about this is you can season this any way you want it. Salt and pepper's your thing, good. I like heat. I like a little bit of Cajun seasoning, things like that, garlic powder, onion powder. So you can season this. It's kind of like a blank slate. So anyways, let's get started. Just like that, dinner is served. One thing to remember is put enough water in there. You can always cook the water out of it, but it's like any other box dinner, even though I used individual ingredients. You can leave the lid on it, let it set for an extra 5 or 10 minutes to cool off to make sure the rice is cooked good. But other than that, easy as can be. Maybe took me 15 minutes at most, maybe 20 to let the rice cook good enough. So let's get in here and eat. One more thing, I was so excited to cook that I forgot a couple of key features of the tent. Let's take a look at something. So up here at the head end of the tent, you've got the nightlight pocket is what it's called. As you can see there. So you can stick your headlamp in there, kind of disperses the light a little bit so you don't have to carry a lantern like in some of our other tents. We've carried a little specifically made for a tent lantern. Well, you don't have to do that. You can use your headlight that you carry with you anyways. And you've got a nifty little storage sack right here. So those are some really good features about this tent that are worth mentioning, but I wanted to be sure to point those out before I forgot. All right, one more thing before I go to bed is I've kind of milled around camp, hung out by the fire, and pretty much did nothing for about the last hour. Starting to get dark. I start to put stuff in my backpack, and I've slid it over to the tent to get ready for the rain tonight, just trying to pack everything up. And I noticed something that I really liked about this tent, yet another thing. And that other thing is, if you'll see, got my light in here, I've got an Osprey Aether 55 pack, so it's a pretty good size pack. Now I had to undo the guy wire right here that helps kind of hold the tent walls out to give you some more room. But it's easy enough to do that, slide that in there. Once you zip it up all the way, you can't really even tell that that backpack is in there. Get a shot back here a little bit further. So Considering the weight of the tent, the size of the tent, all that stuff, I think it has very, very reasonably large vestibule. Plus it's got 2 of them, which really helps. And that's all for at least right now tonight, because I'm tired. I'm going to bed. I'll give you a report in the morning on how it does in the rain. See you in the morning. All right, as I promised, a real-time rain test on this tent. Sure enough, just like the weather said, 1 o'clock started raining. I really didn't think it was going to be that bad, and it wasn't supposed to start out bad. However, about 3 or 4 in the morning, far before sun come up, it started raining pretty good, to the point that I was starting to kind of dread getting everything out and get ready to leave. But it slacked off, so it's about 9 o'clock now, and I've checked every corner of this tent, and there's, my boots outside, there's no leaking in the tent. My boots outside in the vestibules, all the stuff I left out there was dry, obviously, other than what was on the ground, touching the ground, because it's just kind of some carryover from just the rainwater running. But anyways, all in all, very, very pleased with how the tent performed in a legitimate rainstorm and hours of it. So thumbs up to that right there. And also, if you'll notice, walking around the tent, everything per Nemo and what they said, all the water beat it up very nicely. I don't see anywhere on this tent that water puddled up. Keep in mind too, this is the first time I've ever pitched it. Not that these tents are difficult to pitch, but I'm sure there's little tricks you can get to make things a little tighter. So overall, very pleased with the tent in all respects, including weather. So the rain has finally ceased, and I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing packed up and make the mile journey back out of here before it starts raining again. I think I may find me something to eat. I'm hungry again. All right, I've had a lot of kind of jumbled thoughts and jumped around a little bit, because I kept finding things about this tent that I really liked a lot more than what I originally realized. But as I used it, got to experience camping in it. Final thoughts. Number one, I think it's worth the money, but then again, I like buying gear, so I'm willing to pay a little bit more for good stuff. I always think that you absolutely get what you pay for. Number two, packability. We talked about that already. The really good thing about this tent is I was putting it up in my pack. I realized that it's wet and nasty, obviously, out here, so I don't really have the luxury to lay it out on the ground, roll it up on the ice like you typically can. So I've got it kind of scattered out throughout my pack. So I realized that this tent is very easy, probably to, I would say, pretty close to evenly distribute its weight among a couple of people if you were using it for a 2-person tent. Which again brings me to my next point. Is it really a 2-person tent? Well, it's a little bit sketchy for that, I believe. I don't know. I think by the measurements, yes. Put 2 normal sleeping pads in it, yes. Would it be cramped? Yes. Is it doable? Yes. So for a 1-person tent with your gear, because I actually pulled my backpack in it last night and got a 55-liter pack, and it fit fine. I didn't feel cramped at all with my sleeping pad and stuff. So plenty of room for 1 person and some gear. 2 people, that's up to you to decide that. Quality, cannot say enough about the quality of the tent. Not a lot of material there, and they have to make these things light because that's why we buy them. But in saying all that, I still feel like the build quality of the tent was fantastic. Waterproof, stands for itself after the rainstorm that I slept in last night. And to be honest with you, another really good point just crossed my mind. I did feel very, very slight condensation. That's about, I think it's somewhere in the 40s right now tonight, or this morning it got down into the 40s, maybe the low 40s. So a lot of rain, a really high possibility of condensation in that tent. I didn't see a lot of condensation in it. I kind of checked around. At no point did my quilt, my bag, where maybe it was touching the sides a little bit, no moisture anywhere to speak of there. A little bit here and there, but that's to be expected in the conditions.
So condensation is definitely a thumbs up. But overall, I'm looking forward to many, many more nights in the tent. And hey, listen, if you've made it this far in the video, I appreciate your all support. Consider subscribing to the channel. Hit that like button, leave a comment. Have you used this tent? What's another two-person tent that you would recommend? Because you never know about me. I'm liable to go out and buy one and try it out to see, because I like buying gear. So until next time.